My name is Chris Taggart. I run Open and co-founded OpenCorporates, largest open database of companies in the world. We have a simple goal, but a fairly big one. We want an open database for every single company, and by company we mean legal entity, so every private company, every public company, every legal entity in the world. We started off about 3 years ago. I used to be a journalist, and I was taught about the who, what, where, when, how, and then maybe the why if you're doing a feature. And and taking this in a slightly different order, what are we talking about here? We're talking about millions of companies. We started off 3 years ago with 3 million companies in just 3 jurisdictions. We now have over 60 million companies in about 70 or 80 jurisdictions, including 1.2 million Indian companies, all the Indian companies in the MCA register. Who are we talking about? Who are the people behind these companies? Who are the directors? I'm a company director myself and a shareholder, and you have a privileged position as a director. Not many people are company directors, and we have privileged positions in law to protect ourselves from being company directors. So who are we? Can you do a search and find out what companies we are directors of? Where is the information available? How good is the information? We've been working with the World Bank on an index to show how accessible this information is in company registers around the world. It shows that at the moment we're doing just open government partnership countries and the EU, but we'll be extending this year to all countries in the world. So you can see how accessible the company register is. This is statutory basic information about whether a company exists. But you'd be surprised at how many of them actually don't even make basic company information available freely without charge, without registration. What are we talking about when we're talking about companies? It's not just, oh, yeah, there's a company here or something. You actually really want to know exactly what you're talking about. So we make all our information available as open data, saying not just that this is information, but where we got it from, when we got it from, how confident we are that it is accurate. Now, that's something that proprietary providers don't do because they specifically want to hide where they got the information from, and they won't give you the confidence. You just have to trust it. It's what we call black box data. Incredibly problematic. It's problematic for combining it with other government data. It's incredibly problematic because the errors in it persist because people can't see that. And it's incredibly problematic because actually where you got it from, when you got it from, is a critical factor in terms of being able to use this. For credit reference, for credit ratings, for example, for knowing whether this is still true, to knowing how it's changed and so on. And finally, what are the nature of these networks? How are they doing it? This is actually work we did. We've been doing work on global corporate hierarchies. This is mainly from Federal Reserve data that we've got. This is of Goldman Sachs. You can see the United States there as the big, as where you'd expect it. And then there's, you might recognize the UK. This one below the US, this is basically all the entities in the country scaled to the size of it. And the one below it, that's the Cayman Islands. The one just to the bottom, to the right of the Cayman Islands, that's Mauritius. And the one just to the top right of Mauritius, that's India. So as far as in the Goldman Sachs world, pretty much actually everything in, as far as we can tell, everything in India, there's a couple of exceptions, go through Mauritius, mostly because their funds, and a lot of funds are in Mauritius. And then there's the question of why. Why do this? Why is this important? Well, here, from the corruption point of view, the World Bank Stolen Asset Recovery Team did an analysis, and out of 150 large-scale corruption cases, the majority use companies to hide the money trail. Regulation is failing. It's siloed. It's disconnected from other data, other government data. Competition is failing too. There are lots of incentives for making complex corporate networks, but actually those are only available to the existing players. Corporate accountability and governance is reducing too. And it's basically good business. Who am I doing business with? It's just the very basics of that. And then finally, this is just an example of, and we could have done this, for example, with Google. Google, in their statutory filings to the SEC, lists 2 subsidiaries in the world. That's all they tell you about their corporate network. But this is Facebook. We looked at Facebook's subsidiaries as listed in the SEC filings, We found 6 of them, most of which did not have Facebook in the name. And then we took a couple of those in Ireland and looked at where they, decided to investigate them more closely, going to the founding documents and the shareholding information. And this is what we found. Far from it being Facebook Inc. that owns and controls these companies, this is the root of control. And so you see that Edge Network Services goes to a sort of a cleverly named Random Us Investments Limited, up to Facebook Ireland Holdings, and then lots of 999 shares and then 1 share. So 99.9% shareholdings, 1% shareholdings through Cayman Islands companies, and then ultimately through Cayman Islands companies to it. Now this is the company, remember, that thinks that what is important about you is not your social security number or where you live, but it's all those connections, and this is the connections of Facebook.